Cornwall, a place that many of us holiday to and visit regularly, and somewhere a lucky few of us can call home. But beyond the beaches, beautiful coastline, quaint Cornish towns and villages, and of course the world famous Cornish pasties, there's a darker side to Cornwall. A side you won't always see when you come here on your holidays, for that romantic weekend away, or just to get away from it all for a few days. Today we're talking about Cornwall's housing crisis and what it's really like living in this county out of season when the tourists have gone home. Oh hey guys, welcome back to the YouTube and welcome back to the channel. And today we're talking about the very serious subject of Cornwall's housing crisis and just what happens when the second homeowners and holidaymakers go home. What state does it leave this county in? So keep watching to find out more about these two very sensitive subjects. So let's kickstart the video with talking about Cornwall's housing crisis. Now, it's no secret that Cornwall is a very popular county and a very popular place for people to want to visit, and eventually some people might want to move here. But there's a problem, and that is a massive shortage of housing for people that live, work in Cornwall. But why is that? Let's look into this in a bit more detail. It's no secret that Cornwall has a housing shortage, be that thousands of empty council-owned properties that could be allocated and let to the local authority tenants, or in the winter when certain places in Cornwall can resemble ghost towns, with the majority of properties empty. Cornwall is much quieter in the winter, but the phrase ghost town is being used often as the number of permanent homes in the duchy shrinks. According to the latest census, 1 home in every 18 are out of long-term residential use, compared to just 1 in 9 a decade ago. In the 2021 census data, we found 34,720 homes are short-term lets or second homes, and this has only increased since then. One place that has noticed it more acutely than others is Pole Ruin near Foy, where people living there all year round are now in the minority, with a whopping 52% of properties being second homes or holiday lets. But how easy is it to find a house in Cornwall, and especially a rental property? Well, the answer is it isn't. And here's why. When you join the local Facebook groups here in Cornwall for either the town that you live in or nearby towns in the hope of trying to find a property, they are inundated with people on a daily basis trying to find a house essentially, or a place to live. And that ends up with many people living in static caravans, temporary accommodation, or even hotels for long periods of time. But why is that? Why are so many people trying to find houses here, and why are there so few? Specifically, if you're trying to rent in Cornwall, it can be an absolute nightmare to find a property that fits your budget, isn't hugely overpriced, or hasn't been sold for a second home or Airbnb. With each rental property on average receiving 20 plus viewing requests from the date of listing, landlords can be very choosy who they rent to. It's also common for people moving to Cornwall from London, for example, to offer over and above the monthly rental price to secure the property. Many landlords are choosing to sell up in favour of a higher sale price from a second homeowner, or list the house as a holiday let to enjoy up to 4 times the traditional rental income in the summer, for example. This has led to a dire rental market here in Cornwall and simply not enough homes to meet demand. It's fair to say that the job market in Cornwall is incredibly seasonal, and it can be really hard to find a job that's all year round and not just for the summer. And that contributes to the problem, because it means that Cornish people find it harder to get a job. When they do, it can be on the national average wage or even sometimes lower, and that means that it's much harder to pay those high property prices and massive monthly rents. As I mentioned earlier, when the second homeowners and holidaymakers go home in the winter months, this means many local businesses have to either slim down or close up. For example, a busy pub or restaurant may do 300 covers a day in the summer, but just 30 in the winter, as the core population has declined here so much. This leads to greater unemployment in local areas and even on the extreme side, forcing people to move out of Cornwall to find a job elsewhere, whilst reducing services available to locals during these out of season months. Second homeowners are a real problem here in Cornwall, and yes, I know a few, you might do as well. However, the problem is really prevalent here in Cornwall. Yes, people have second homes all over the UK and indeed in different countries, but a lot of people seem to want to have a second home in Cornwall. Many of us dream of a place by the sea and moving closer to the coast. But just how easy is that in Cornwall, and just how expensive is it to live by the coast or by the sea in this county? With the average house price here in Cornwall currently at £353,117, derived from data over the period March 23 to February 24, which is just over the average price for England and Wales at £350,000. You can expect to pay more living in this county. If you want a place by the sea or in a popular seaside town like Rock, Padstow, Carbis Bay or St Ives, expect to pay from £600,000 plus, with some properties topping out at over the £1 million mark. An odd fact is recently a public toilet with a stunning view over Mounts Bay sold at auction for £169,000. It had a guide price of just £20,000, so people really are prepared to pay for a sea view here. Currently, the cheapest place to live in Cornwall is Redruth or Bodmin. I'm not exactly sure how we're ever going to fix this problem in Cornwall, because essentially to do that you'd have to force second homeowners out, give those houses back to local people, and even if you did that, the prices would just be unrealistic and unaffordable for people that live here. I think increasing taxes is definitely an option, and doing that on selling second homes, turning rental properties into Airbnbs would definitely help. But the pure profits that can be made from doing this is never going to stop everyone from doing it. So what is the solution? How do we fix the housing crisis in Cornwall? One of the obvious solutions that springs to mind is to build more houses here, and we'll touch on that shortly. However, that could also just make the situation worse if those houses weren't bought by people who live and work here, and we risk losing our countryside and green land in the process. Another idea is increased council taxes, and Cornwall Council has agreed from 2025 to charge an additional 100% on council tax for second homes, which will put some people off. But is there some light at the end of the tunnel? There's loads of new housing developments in Cornwall, flats, modern houses, etc. being built in this county. And is that going to solve the problem? Are they affordable, and are they actually being sold to local people? Look around Cornwall and you will see new housing developments of all shapes and sizes growing out of the ground to provide new homes and infrastructure for the future. Of course, not everyone is in favour of developments in Cornwall. While supporters will point out the need for more housing, particularly affordable housing, critics will raise concerns about the loss of green space. One of the biggest developments in Cornwall is Nanseydan. This Duchy of Cornwall-led scheme has already provided around 600 new homes, a primary school and business units on the edge of Newquay, and is now being held up as an exemplary project for other similar developments. But is this the answer? We're here at a new build Wayne Homes site in Cornwall. Now, Wayne Homes are building loads of houses in Cornwall, but are they selling them to local people? Can anyone buy these houses? Are these houses affordable for local people? Is it the right houses we need? So how much does it cost to buy one of these new build Wayne Homes? Let's take a look. On this particular development just outside St Austell on the southeast coast, you can buy a new build Wayne home from £250,000 for a 2-bedroomed terrace house, with lots of help to buy offers available, with prices ranging up to £459,000 for a 4-bedroom detached house with a double garage. There are no restrictions on who can buy these houses, so in effect they are open to anyone that can afford them. Perhaps the answer is a partnership between the local council and a building company that only builds houses that locals and people that work in Cornwall can purchase. And that's exactly where we are now. Trevieth in St Austell is a brand new housing estate that will solely be sold to people that live and work in the area and will contain affordable housing. And that is a step forward in solving Cornwall's housing crisis. And I think one of the only ways we're going to get around this problem is restricting housing, who can buy it, and making sure that people that do live and work in Cornwall. This particular site in St Austell is going to be built on the site of the old council offices, and they've just finished knocking those down to get on with the work, and already they're marketing these houses to local people. Trevieth and the Cornwall Council Partnership say that they are building high quality Cornish homes for local people that live and work in Cornwall, available to buy or rent, creating sustainable growth for Cornwall in Cornwall. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope you found this video useful and informative, and as always, we'll see you in the next one.